That lovely little animation was done by Henri Groux-Holt, who is a childhood friend of mine. The music was done by Sasha Jelton. I helped out a tiny little bit, but didn't do much. Please enjoy whatever you listen to of this talk that I had with Henri. Okay, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Pretty relaxed. Got a good night of sleep. Did you have a good day?
Um, all things considered, sure. Yeah. Like I've had way worse days than today. That's for sure.
That's good. Yeah, sometimes we need to have shitty experiences to put everything else in life in kind of retrospect. I don't know if that's the right word, but just to be able to put things into relative comparison and to be able to appreciate things more. So let me throw some questions at you. So for me, I haven't known you your whole life, but I've known you for a good portion of your life. And
You've known me for at least 2/3 of my life,
yeah, for at
so that's
least two
more than
thirds
a
of
good
your life.
portion.
Yeah. And um I know we haven't been living in the same country for a number of years now, but we've stayed in touch to some degree or another. And basically, from what my shitty memory and understanding can recollect and fabricate in my mind, thinking about you and your life, um, you have creative family members around you, such as your dad and his creativity around architecture. Your mom is artistic and creative. You have one of your aunts that's very creative. You have family friends.
I'm gonna put a plug in that. I wouldn't necessarily call my dad an architect because I mean his title has always been general contractor. So
General contractor.
he'll follow the architect will draw the plans for him and he'll work with those and do stuff with that. And but yeah, he definitely has his own there's plenty of things he's built by just conceptualizing it and like just getting some wood and nails and a saw and hammer and stuff and like putting something together without plans. But yeah, I wouldn't call my dad an architect though.
Would you say that he's creative?
Sure.
Yeah. So you've got some creative
You could
people
say like a
around you.
craftsmanship. He's creative in craftsmanship. Sure.
Yeah. You've got some creative people around you in your life, family members, family friends, such as D Hooker. Um, and you have had a number of different creative friends, such as my brother, Jordan Topf, uh, aka Windsor,
You.
Sasha, aka Wanderflame, Spencer Winnick, Alex Hubbard, the list goes on. And you yourself have been a creative creature since you were young. You have been doing cinematography, yeah, cinematography. You've been making videos, editing videos, doing motion graphics, After Effects on videos. You've been doing 3D animations, 2D illustrated animations. You've experimented with improv and acting. Uh, you've been an extra in a movie before. You've definitely been creativity and art has been a part
Extra
of
in the
your
same movie
journey.
that your brother was in.
Yeah, yeah. You guys were both extras in a movie when you were kids. So
Local
yeah,
local
local
independent
Santa
movie.
Cruz kind of movie. So I mean, I guess I could also touch on Santa Cruz here at the same time. Like Santa Cruz is kind of like a weird kind of place. You would wear a shirt, which was one of the logos of Santa Cruz, which is like keep Santa Cruz weird. And then you and me have been kind of like to some degree silly and random, and I think that kind of informs creativity to some degree. But I don't know, what role does art play for you, and what is art? Can you talk about that? What is it? How does
What
art
role does art play
play in
for
your
me,
life?
and
Yeah.
what is art?
Yeah.
Um, I, I mean, the majority of my job of what I do is putting digital, I mean, moving colored pixels into certain positions that are specified to me, and making sure that it looks at least good to me on a personal level before I show it to anyone else. But that's the extent of my job. So I mean, at the very least, I can say that it's my income. Uh, so
Okay,
what?
so
Yeah, sorry.
did you want to say more?
No, I do, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, what I was gonna say was gonna transition into a whole nother question. Maybe we can touch on it later, like touching on uh the kind of money side of art compared to making art as for fun and your hobby to kind of transitioning to making an income off of art. But we can maybe talk about that later or now if you'd prefer. Um, Kind of is like a segue away from what I asked before, but I don't know.
Um, art, but yeah, I guess to answer the other part of your question, which is like what is art? Like, what is my definition of it? It's just um something that's not like how do I say it? Put it in words. Um, something that's not necessary for my life, like to survive, but it is necessary for my well-being. Like
Okay, so
I
let's touch on that.
my
In what way
my
does it
life
help you be more,
revol
feel more well?
entertainment.
Yeah.
Every bit and piece of entertainment that I consume is created by artists or an artist or artists. And
Does that bring joy to
any
your
like
life?
um well yeah, it brings like purpose. It's like it's the way I get up in the morning. It's like, oh, I want to get up and engage with this or that.
So then
Um
when you're making art and you're creating something that's potentially going to bring joy to other people's lives, does that process feel meaningful to you as an individual?
yeah, totally. But at the end of the day, the art that I create, I kind of do it. I do it for myself because it's just it's a fun experience. Um,
It's more fun than other activities. So
and I
what
guess
with
I enjoy art because it's because art is fun. Like
so
it goes back. I like being entertained, and all forms of entertainment or art in different capacities. So
So then would
I
you
guess
say
that's what it
like
boils down to.
for your compass, if like from a metaphorical standpoint, your life is like a ship and you're directing the ship, is your North Star kind of fun to some degree? And life is kind of like uh part of what helps you to get there?
Um,
I don't know if you know what I mean by North Star, but like your director is fun, like a very like important director in your life.
um, yes. I mean, yeah, no, it's like there's no way I could say no to that. So yes, I would say it's a big reason why I enjoy living is because
To
um,
have fun, to enjoy life.
there's fun to be had for my consciousness, and being bored is like the worst thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, so
Let me interject.
um,
You've made like some videos partially when we were children and also partially more recently with Sasha and another artist that are kind of just like random and surreal and kind of weird. And you and me when we were younger, we would be like get super silly and random and weird. Do you feel like this is kind of just like trying to step out of the world of boredom and into the world of like fun and just stimulation, both when we're doing that just freely and when you're doing that actually in a video?
Maybe to the point of stimulation at the very least, because yeah, I mean, like plenty of things we did as kids and teenagers that were just nonsensical and had like videos that weren't telling any story. It was just us being wacky. Like that was stimulating, and that to me is like time well served, because I could have been doing something else that wasn't as stimulating, which could have been just like sitting around and thinking about doing something but not actually doing it. And at the very least, we're making something that doesn't really mean anything to anyone but us. And if anyone else watches it, at best they'll laugh at the absurdity of what we're doing. But
Mm.
they're not meant to. We're not meant to be telling anything. It was just to do something. And anytime that I was, there's plenty more times where I sat around thinking about things that I wanted to do that I still haven't done,
Mm-hmm.
compared to the amount of times that I have done something, even if it was just us and doing different like things in front of a camera and then editing it to music and something like, at the very least that was something.
Yeah. Well, I think our minds,
And I,
they get stimulated, and if your mind is stimulated enough, at least for me, it seems like for many other artists and creatives and even other people that don't identify as artists, it's like the amount of ideas coming into our imagination or our mind's eye is faster, and there's more ideas than we can possibly actually manifest in the actual world. Like it's just like we could never keep up with how many ideas are in our mind. There's just a matter of picking the ones and choosing the ones that we choose from those possible. Can you relate to that or no?
and sometimes you don't even get to choose the ideas. You get ideas, and there's the one that you really want to do, but you can't do it. You can do this other one because that's what's possible.
Yes. Yeah. Some things are we can't some of the ideas we have are not even possible. That's true.
I mean, they are, but maybe just not in the place and time.
Yeah, maybe
But
at not
something
that
else
point
is.
in time. This is true.
Uh,
Do you want to talk anything more about what role art has played in your life, or what role it's playing now, or do you want to move on? Kind of your journey as an
um,
artist.
I mean, I could talk about just that first thing all day, so it depends. It's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, let's go into that more. One thing that keeps coming to my mind's eye is you going on the journey and working with that guy um in the van and doing a documentary
That
on
sounds.
him.
That sounds. When you put it that way, that sounds kind of sketchy. I went on that journey with that guy in a van.
Well, that was like one of
I
your
mean,
first experience.
it technically was pretty shady, but the person, the person was not. The process was shady. The person I traveled and made the subject of a documentary was not shady,
Yeah.
but everything else you could say was.
Was that your first experience of like getting like paid pretty well to like make art?
I
Or
was
was it
not paid well.
okay?
And that was my fault. I just didn't ask for enough. He was ready to
Right.
pay me pretty much whatever I wanted, and I felt
Yeah.
like I didn't know my own worth and value.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't actually end up like making a documentary really. Um, I kind of put together what I could, that I tried to tell some kind of story that seemed like was doable based on some of the footage, but it certainly was not to um,
Agree that
the
you
ambition
yeah.
the ambition to what that what the subject of the documentary wanted. And I mean, it's your podcast, so I'll share what that was. It was a person named Paul, and his last name is Vile, and his older brother. He's got a lot of brothers and sisters, but his oldest brother is a musician, indie rock, or actually I shouldn't say indie rock. So alternative rock musician from Philadelphia named Kurt Vile, and Kurt Vile plays at a lot of music festivals, and certainly was a lot, even more probably 10 years, like close to 10 years ago, 7 years ago, when I met Paul. And I met Paul at a music festival that his brother was playing at. So that's how I met the person. And he was, Paul would started off his sort of his uh his ambitions and his what he still does to this day and has only built upon that sort of his empire of making Jello shots,
Hmm.
um, and preparing them in the typical way you might get them at a bar or something, where it's like Jello in this like a little plastic to go ramekin. He'll make thousands of those and bring them in giant coolers to music festivals, and goes around and sells Jello shots to people. And also would kind of make T-shirts and posters and things like that for whatever festival he was at, uh, and hustle. So he wanted someone. When I met him, he was doing that, and we talked, and I ended up actually seeing him again at another festival across the country, and that's when he asked me. I had my video camera with me, and he asked me if I was interested in, like, he asked me what I was doing and what I did, and then he's like, well, I'm looking for someone that can make a movie about what I do. He's like, would you like to do this? And I was 22 years old, so I'm at music festivals, and he's like, I'll pay for your tickets to go to music festivals, and you'll be in there for free, and you just need to film me for a few hours a day. I'm like, that sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, so then like 2 weeks after that, he paid for my flight and ticket to meet him in LA and go to Coachella. And then we did that and immediately drove across, like all the way across the country, in like 2.5 days, and got to Atlanta, Georgia, and then like went to another music festival there for another weekend. And then after that drove to Austin, Texas. So it's like across the country and halfway back, basically a little more than that in 3 weeks. And like final festival was like a smaller, like, psych rock festival in Austin, and I filmed as much as I could of the sort of the journey and him hustling at the festivals. But there was absolutely no organization, and a lot of over ambition, I guess, for what he wanted to create. And things just kind of so many things went wrong, uh, as you might expect, like,
Yeah.
with a kind of situation like this. But um, I managed to get enough footage that like a year or two later, I kind of managed to tell a story with this kind of pile of footage that I had, and made like a short kind of like 8 minute, 7 minute video that was kind of like that, at least kind of recapped
Yeah.
one of
What
the
you
festivals that we were at. Um, but yeah, that was that story. I'm just kind of retelling, giving the summary of what it was, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what your question was.
Yeah. That's cool. That I didn't know that Paul was brothers with Kurt Vile. I like Kurt Vile's music. That is an interesting connection, and yeah, an interesting life, and that's cool. We only have a few minutes here. What the last question that I have for you is uh for younger artists, uh or even artists like myself that are older that struggle or don't know how to make that bridge between making art and making money off of art. What is your kind of mindset around going from making art to making money off of art? What's your advice if you could like give it in like 2 minutes or something like that?
Well, I guess for myself, like right now, when it comes to just thinking about my own income, like I don't, I wouldn't say that I'm an artist for like a career artist, or sorry, let me rephrase that, reset the clock. Uh, I, uh, I, I'm for my job position, my current job title is not so much as like making art, but I work amongst a lot of artists who, and it's a TV network, so they're making very specific art for the network, and like very like branded stuff and whatnot. And I help the artist. I'm their assistant. So I'll a lot of the things I'm doing, I like as I kind of alluded to earlier, was like I move pixels into place where people tell me to put them basically. And so I'm the artist assistant. But as I say, at the end of the day, it's an income that is funded by entertaining others with art. But it's a TV network, so it's a pretty big team effort.
So is your
A lot of
advice like try to get whatever kind of opportunities you can to work in the creative industry, and just sometimes if you can't make the exact type of art you want to make, just take what kind of opportunities you have at your fingertips and make the best of them, and perhaps with time you'll have opportunities to make money in creative ways that are in more alignment with what kind of art you want to be making as a career. Is that kind of what you're implicating here, or am
I mean, I just got sidetracked and didn't share any advice at all, but I agree with what you said, so I'll
okay?
go with that.
If you're curious to check out any of Henri's motion graphic design work, you can look below this video in the description box to find a link to his Instagram. Thank you for listening to the Blue Cuboid podcast. Please have a nice